Welcome back to the course. We've already discussed how to write a compelling introduction, how to draw your readers in, and convince them that your research topic is important. But academic writing isn't just about presenting your own ideas in a vacuum. It's about joining an ongoing dialogue. The related work section is where you show you've been listening to that dialogue. So today, we'll learn how to write a related work section that demonstrates your expertise and strategically carves out a space for your contribution. So, here's our roadmap for today's session. We'll start by revisiting a familiar friend, the CARS model, but this time we'll see how it applies specifically to the related work section. From there, we'll get into the nitty-gritty, the specific phrases, sentence patterns, and vocabulary that will make your writing shine. We'll then walk through a detailed example to see all these concepts in action and even look at how AI can help you analyze and improve your draft. Finally, we'll wrap everything up with a summary of the key takeaways. Okay, so let's get strategic. We learned that the CARS model is a persuasive tool for the introduction. In the related work section, it becomes a tool for positioning. You're using the same 3 moves, but with a different purpose. Your main goal here is to construct the research territory in detail. That's move 1. You'll spend most of your time here discussing what others have done. Then, by showing the limitations or gaps in their work, you are executing move 2. So, while your intro might have a sentence or 2 on this, the related work section is a deep, evidence-based exploration that justifies the space your research will soon occupy. Now that we know we're using the CARS model, let's talk about execution. Not all related work sections are created equal. A below-average one, frankly, is just a list. It only does move 1. It establishes the territory by summarizing what others have done. And that's it. It reads like a book report. An average paper does better. It includes move 1 and move 2. It summarizes the field and then points out a gap. That's competent, solid work. But the top 1%, they do something more. They include all 3 moves right within the related work. They not only map the territory and find a gap, but they also explicitly state how their work, move 3, will fill that gap. This is rare. Most papers save move 3 entirely for the introduction or conclusion. But placing it here is a power move, and it's what we're aiming for. From the overview you just saw, let me pull you into move 1. In move 1, you establish the territory. Use clear, neutral lines like this area has been an active line of research recently. Attention has turned to this sub-area. In general, systems in this area typically do X. This sub-area has long been a focus in the field. Notice I keep the verbs cautious. Additionally, words like typically, often, and tends to help you keep appropriate uncertainty. When you position related work, keep it impersonal. Say work closely related to ours typically reports Y, or another approach commonly does X. You do not need to name people. Let the phrasing do the comparison. Next, I will show you how these sentences connect forward to move 2. Now I want you to show how you occupy the niche with move 3. Keep the tone precise and steady. Use cautious verbs when you refer to the field and clear verbs when you describe your paper. Notice I avoid names. I use prior work, common approaches, earlier studies. Now, a question I often get is, should I use examples in my related work section? In our first lecture, we said the introduction uses many examples to be accessible. The related work section is more technical, but that doesn't mean examples disappear. You just use them more strategically. For instance, you can use an example to define your specific input and set your paper apart. Another key use is to group authors who share a common approach. You could say, other systems, for example, author X and author Y use machine learning to predict outcomes. Finally, and most critically, you use examples to contrast your method. This is where you can be very direct, using a phrase like, for example, while the system in Lee 2022 normalizes data, we employ a raw data approach. This single sentence powerfully executes move 2. Okay, so besides using examples, the most powerful way to carve out your research space is through direct contrast and comparison. Let's look at 4 key situations where you'll do this. First, you might have a different purpose or setting. After describing a major paper, you can add at the end of the paragraph, In our work, we address an aspect that was not a focus of their study. It's a polite way of saying we're doing something else. Second, and very commonly, you have a different approach. You can summarize the standard method in the field and then pivot by saying, in contrast, we will show how to approach the problem in a new way. Third, you might want to highlight both similarity and difference. This is a sophisticated move. You can write, our method uses a similar dataset for a different purpose. This shows you're building on existing work, but for a novel goal. Finally, you can use contrast to make a bold claim about your contribution, often at the start of your final paragraph. In contrast to the previous research in this area, we present a system that does X with the goal of Y. This is a classic setup for Move 3.